Howdy folks, Kirk and Jason here with Kirk Giordano Plastering. Today we're going to show you how you guys can transform your house. We've done a number of these videos, but every house is different. It gives another opportunity to explain something else that we haven't already. For example, this color here. The guy says, Kirk, we got patchwork everywhere. It's around the whole house, and it's more obvious in other places. And I'm not even sure the camera will show all this stuff, but there's a lot of patchwork. Anyway, he says, we like the color. I said, okay, let's get it custom matched. So we come up with these. This, I believe, is Chablis, and this is probably oatmeal. That's how long I've been doing this. And he says, well, I like Chablis because it matches. However, can we darken this a little bit? Yes. Can we lighten it a little bit? Yes. So keep that in mind, guys. If you see a color you like and you just like it a little bit darker, we can do that. There's a way to do it. I won't get into it with this, but I'll walk around here. I'm going to show you just a couple other things, guys. Now, when I come here, I looked at this. And I said, well, would you like to cover the block? And he says, no, just color code over it. And I said, you'll see the block lines. And I said, I'll tell you what, man. I'll do a coat over it, no charge. I already bid this. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a bonding agent on this. Then we're going to hit it today with a color or just a finish, and that'll get rid of the block lines. And by the way, guys, I just pressure washed that. You can see I am a mess. And when people say, Kirk, you don't get too dirty, I had to change a shirt. That shirt was so filthy from hitting the wall and then it bouncing back. Notice too, guys, see that spark arrestor? I went up on the roof and I hit the spark arrestor. Why did I hit the spark arrestor? Because of fires. We got a lot of forest fires going on. We always have people mowing the lawn. Where does that dirt go? That dust. It goes in the air, and then when it rains, it comes down. For example, across the street. Now, they did a great job there. Those guys did a beautiful job. But if you look at the shoulder of the chimney and you look at the top, the one thing they forgot, and this is not their responsibility, is to pressure wash that spark arrestor. And so I pressure washed this one here, and I did the top, and I told the owner, if I were you, pull it off now and paint it, because we got all the dirt, dust, and crap off of it. But with a maintenance-free color coat like on a brick, if you clean that and paint it, say for the next 10 years, it won't drip down or leach down and mess up your finish. I'm going to show you something about pressure washing too. Let me show you another thing. This is kind of important, so you're not spinning your wheels. Okay, we got a pressure washer here. Sandblasting, guys, is illegal for 30 years. So when people, they keep saying, Kirk, how come you don't sandblast? It's illegal for 30 years. Why? Because you sandblast, it brings silica in the air. You inhale that, it's harmful. It's just as bad as asbestos. So anyway, this puts out 3,400 PSI. What does that mean? That means the strength of it. And if you put a turbo tip on it, and what's a turbo tip? This is a tip, like this particular one is an expensive good one. This is this is an even better one. Now this one will create 5,000 PSI with this 34. How does it do it? No idea. I'm not a scientist. I'm a stucco contractor. My buddy Ernie, how are you, my friend?
Pretty good.
Now, oh man, really good. I have to show you something with my buddy. He did. Come this way, Jay, if you could see where you're walking. Now, you guys, if you hire a stucco guy, this is absolutely necessary. I came here, I said, Ernie, you're spoiling us, man. Except for that green juice there. That stuff nobody's going to juice. A bunch of spinach for anybody. It's my personal stuff. Anyway, this is where we're at. Now, we've pressure washed this. And again, I have to use a turbo tip. Otherwise, I'll be here all day. And the turbo tip does put a lot more PSI. It etches the wall. It kind of scratches it. Not only gets the paint off, but it scratches it. What we're doing here, I'll show you a couple more things that Ernie was working on. How strong is a turbo tip? You see this? I did this. It took all that moss and dirt and crap off of here. That's what it actually looks like. And why did I do that? Because I'm working right here and it's just an afterthought. Anyway, we're going to finish what we're doing, and we are applying the bonding agent. We're cleaning up these walls. We are prepping it for tomorrow when we come here and put the sand finish on it. When we do that, we'll show you that too. One more thing, and this is kind of important. A lot of people call when they do their pressure wash, and they say, Kirk, I got off as much as I can, but it seems like it keeps coming off. if you're not sure how much to take off, hire somebody to do it. Like what we do is we hit it with the pressure washer, and the water goes inside underneath the paint, especially on the southwest side. The sun rises in the north, comes over here, sets by San Francisco, it is at west, and so this side is in the sun. It gets all the heat. So it heats up the wood expands, cracks the stucco, and you get this. Anyway, they painted it. So what we do is we take a chisel. We always have them in our back pockets, and anything that's coming off, with the water, it will help it come off. And so if you see it, just get it off like this, guys. And when do you know when to stop? Well, that's everybody's choice. We keep going, and every time I see it, we just get it off of there, because it can be sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 years old. And again, in the southwest side, it bakes it, so it'll do that sometimes. With a regular pressure washer and the turbo tip, it usually gets the majority off. So I say this because somebody emailed me, and by the way, guys, I think I've gotten in the last 14 years or so about over 50,000 comments. Most say, hey, you guys know what you're doing, cool. But a lot of people ask me questions too. Will I be able to answer all these questions in the future? No, because we got too many videos going and we're still really active. But for the guy who says, hey, Kirk, he said, they did a La Habra color coat on my house, and they didn't use the bonding agent, and they didn't paint it. They didn't pressure wash it. They didn't sandblast it. It's 7 years now. It's still beautiful. I say more power to you guys. But the proper way is to do what we're doing. So I just thought I'd answer that guy in an actual video, because he just asked me that the other day. He wanted to know what material was capable of doing that. When you find out, you let me know, because we have to go by the book. We have to go by the rule. Pressure wash, bonding agent, peel it, and you're ready to put your application on. Tomorrow we're going to be applying it. We'll show you how to do that. Okay, guys, we will start from reverse this time. I'll show you how we do the texture in a minute. We textured that yesterday. Actually, we skim coated that yesterday with color. Now, why is it blue? Well, that's bonding agent we use, because we're going to get rid of the block line. The next coat, we'll show you that at the end of this video. But I want to show you something. Okay, what we've done already, and actually, you see, we applied it, and when you apply a color coat, maintenance-free, cementitious finish, I know that's a mouthful, but that's what we're doing. It darkens, when you put it on, it's dark, just like a wet brick. And when that drier conditions occur, which they do, it starts to lighten. We're going to walk around here, see if you could follow me. I'll show you the ending, and then we'll show you the beginning. And if you look at that, that's it curing. And when it cures, it does cure a lot lighter. Now, this is what we've already done, guys. We did another color coat a week ago, and people say, hey, why didn't you show the whole house? I thought we were just showing how to do it. This is what it looks like, and it's going to dry. And now, granted, there was a lot of different speckles, spots, and patches all over the place. If you could find yourself over here, Jay, without hurting yourself, okay. Now, what we have here, too, is, you see, we got the paper and the tape all over here. Why? Because if we were to pull this a minute ago, then that wet stucco would get on these pavers and stain it. So we used common sense. We took lunch. Now this is set where Dan and Carl, Lou, can pull it back. One more thing over on this side here. This side is just been applied, and we just took lunch. So I know you got to watch where you're going and do that filming, Jay. So if you can walk through here, follow my voice. Okay. Now, here's where we're at, guys. Right after lunch, because we chose to darken this Chablis X12, we're going to start here, finish the front. I'll show you the front, how we spread this out and why. I'll explain it as I'm doing it, and then I'll show you the top of that chimney, or the face of that chimney, of how to spread it, why, the weather, how it affects spreading it, and the suction of a wall. Why is that chimney dark blue? Why is this light blue? If I can remember all that stuff, I'll explain it to you guys, because that's what makes the difference between the color variations and or the texture changes. So you got to know what you're doing, guys. Anyway, we do. I'll show you how we apply this and float it. I'm taking the hard job down here. Those guys up there, I give them the easy job. If they're even started. Dad's like, hey, Dad, how about I do above the garage door? I said, boy, you do above the garage door, we'll have to cover the garage. He said, well, aren't you going to wet it? I said, yeah, I'm going to wet it. He said, well, I could wet it. I said, no, you're not, because you're going to be up on the roof. Get up there. Anyway, this is how we spread it, guys. You get it to a consistency you want it. And what I'm doing is I'm following this line. If I follow this line here, I don't have to do so much work. Okay, so I'm just spreading it. I'm relaxing. It's after hours now. We thought we were going to be done at 3. Yeah, right. Anyhow, I'll show you how to spread these tops too in a second. What I try to do is get rid of as much of this mud as possible. Okay. Now, I'm using the bottom of my trowel to make a clean line right here. But if I have to clean it with my sponge float, big deal. Now what I do is, I'm going to come back to the tops. Now, what I like to do, guys, is avoid this. I don't want my knuckles hitting that. So I put it here. Now my knuckle didn't hit that. This is a fast way to do it, guys. If your knuckle's hitting that, that means you're an apprentice, and you don't know that yet. All right, so what I'm doing again is spread. This is called spreading, applying, plastering, rendering. You can call it a whole bunch of things. The idea is get it on. Then this light blue finish, that is called a bonding agent. Where those boys are on that chimney, I had them put the bonding agent thicker. That's why it looks a lot bluer. Here, I don't need to do that. Over there, I wanted to kill the suction. I kill the suction, so when I float and spread all this, it's the same suction, that way my texture is the same. Now, notice this. Okay, I'm putting the mud on the tail end of the trowel. Coming here. That way, I don't get caught up on these rafters. Don't want to get beat up on the rafters, guys. Enough here to get beat up on. Okay, so I'm going to start. What I like to do also is go up as high as I can. That way, when I come down, there's not that much. Now, I know here's something you guys can't see or won't know unless you're a plasterer. I know how much time I have before this material gets hard on me or sets. And if it gets hard or sets, I will have a color change, ghosting or bleeding, and or I will have a smooth finish as opposed to the sand finish. And I'm giving them a sand finish. Pretty much what they already have. Sand finish. Let's see if check on them boys, make sure they're working. I got to keep an eye on those guys. Okay, now I could turn right around and top it out, or I could put one more hawk on, which I will. And that way I float everything and show you guys how to float it, because I'm not sure we'll have enough time to show that chimney. Anyway, if we don't, then this right here will show how we do not only the spreading of it, but the floating. The floating is where we bring the aggregate out. By the way, my brother Lou is back with us. he jacked his foot up a few months ago, actually a few years ago. Anyway, he had to heal. All right. Oh, we got a windy day. Man, that sure beats those. We're in California, by Oakland, and it said that there was going to be a heat wave, and I thought, man, I've been living in this area for 60 years. I'll believe it when I see it. Guess what, guys? I believe it, because we were working in weather triple digits for about a week, and I even like hot weather, but that weather, it kicked our ass because of this cement. I mean, I might be able to handle it, but the cement doesn't like it. It made our job a lot tougher. So, I'm watching you boys. Got to keep my eye on those guys. If you guys try to do like old Kirk and say, well, I'm not going to cover the garage door either, because Kirk didn't. I'll show you a tip. Okay, I'm getting ready to float this after I walk across these minefields. A little bit more mud right here. All right, here's a tip, guys. If you're just doing above a garage door and you're a decent plasterer, just wet the door. Wet it just at the bottom. Any drips, boom. Now why take an hour or two to cover it when that's all that's going to fall on it? Now what we do is we take a float. This is called a sponge float. And all I'm doing is I'm bringing the aggregate out. How do you do that? You lightly hit it. I'll show you. You lightly hit it, and I'm using the edge of here and edge of here. Sometimes the toe, sometimes the heel. So I'm going to take the top first. And all I'm doing is going back and forth. Boom. And this is kind of critical, guys, because if I let it set too long, where just now I'm getting kind of cocky thinking, I got this. If it sets on me because it's the end of the day and this wall's been getting weak sun on it for, say, 8 hours now, it's still hot. And if it's still hot, this mud can set, even with the paint sealing it and with the bonding agent that is basically sealing it. So here I'm just getting a clean edge where my sponge float is still clean because I just stuck it in the water bottle or bucket. And now I'm just going back here, getting that clean edge. Okay, I'm floating it. Boom. This is called floating, F-L-O-A-T, floating, because I'm bringing out the aggregate or the sand. This is why it's called sometimes a float finish and sometimes a sand finish. Homeowners call it a sand finish because we bring out the sand. We as professionals call it a float finish because we use a float to finish it. Now notice too, I started off doing something thinking I would not have to go over this edge right here, but screw that. This is faster and it's better. I'm looking not only for speed but for efficiency, and I can't jack up this finish right here. It's got to be pretty. So getting the top first while the sponge is clean, hitting this, hitting it. Getting the top, making the line pretty. They're still going to paint these eaves. Actually, they're going to put a new roof on here. And the fella says, hey, Kirk, should I wait until they do the new roof? I said, you could. He says, well, I hear it's going to crack if they put a new roof on. I said, well, the fact is, if it was a brand new house, it would have to settle. And it'll have to go through 10 or 15 seasons. And then once it's settled, it won't crack. But this house has seen 80 years. So if it's seen 80 years, it's already settled. So if we do this before they do the roof, will this hairline and crack? Doubtful. Can it? Sure. Anything can do that. Depends on how many men they have up there, what they're doing. If they're just using jackhammers or weird stuff, vibration can cause cracking. Anyway, guys, I'm watching you boys. All right. Anyway, now that I got this all done and it's floated, first thing I'll do now, or last thing I'll do, is clean the trim. Here's what you do, guys. You want to clean your trim? All right. Now you clean all the color off of here, and you go this way. And this just cleans the trim. Make sure where you're walking, you don't fall off the scaffold and say, well, I saw Kirk do it. And again, this is going to be painted anyhow, but at the same time, I'm trying to get my finish proper. It's all got to blend in and match and look pretty. What you won't see me doing, because I am not going to show that chimney because it's already like, it's past 5 o'clock, is I'm going to jump down, and before I'm going to just yank this out, this plank, and I'm going to hit this joint right here, because this joint, if this dries and I put my next finish on, the next finish will be smooth. I won't be able to bring the aggregate out. So anyway, life of a big time stucco contractor. All right, guys, this is for those of you who want to do it but don't know how. That gives you a good idea. From Carl, my buddy Ernie from Search and Rescue. This guy drives helicopters, planes and trains and all the rest of that stuff. We're tired. We're beat up. Anyway, Ernie, pleasure doing business with you.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. Very impressed in everything. And if you need stuccoing done, call Kirk. He's the master blaster.
I like your attitude, brother.
Yours too. Thanks, man.
All right.
Mille grazie.
We'll see you guys on the next one.
All right, folks, as always, we want to say thank you for watching. If you like what we put out, please like and subscribe, and we'll keep making content for you. And as usual, we'll see you on the next one.